to give you a tool to like tee you up for a really smooth weekend. I was actually just creating a class for a group that I coach in about what to do after we yell. Because who doesn't need that, right? Our kids trigger us and we yell. So we need a tool to figure out what to do after so we can like repair that connection. So I created this class called The Power of Repair. And so we don't have to feel like we have to be a perfect parent all the time because that's exhausting and that's just not practical. So that is what I'm going to be talking to you today. I'm going to try to condense this hour-long class into 10 minutes on this Facebook Live for you. So I might be talking kind of fast. Okay, so first of all, our kids trigger us, right? They're going to do things, say things that's going to make us angry or frustrated. And you, me, everyone yells. Like that's completely normal to have that reaction. But here's when I know what most of us do after we yell. Either we start beating ourselves up and criticizing ourselves for yelling, getting so mad at ourselves, right? Or maybe you're the kind of person who just like avoids the situation, right? Sweep it under the rug, pretend it didn't happen, right? I know some of you out there, but that was me. Um, there's also people who over apologize, right? It's just like constantly just keep saying, I'm so sorry, to their child. And it feels like it doesn't really resolve it the way you want it to. And then there's some of us who just make excuses like, oh, I was in such a bad mood or whatever that is, right? But these are like four common things that we all do after we yell and we lose it. But this doesn't work. Why? Okay, first of all, it creates this emotional like disconnection and distance between us and our kids. And it leaves our kids confused about what happened. Like, why did you yell at me? Right? And then they learn, they don't like being yelled at. So then they learn to hide what they're struggling with, which we don't want that, right? We don't want to miss these opportunities to really just normalize the fact that struggles are real and to model for them how to respond in a healthy way. And when we do these four things I just mentioned, right, notice that the original problem doesn't change. It remains the same. And who the heck wants that, right? We all want things to be improving and getting better and better. So I'm going to talk to you real quickly about the power of a repair. And a repair, you'll see, is different than just the standard I'm sorry, right? Because if you're like me, you might have found that like I'm sorry really isn't as effective as what you really wanted it to be. And the power of repair, it's like it's not about perfection. It's really becomes a tool that your parenting safety net for those times that you do yell. And it's a way in the event when you yell to strengthen that relationship and create like some emotional safety so your child feels comfortable sharing with you what's going on and what's happening in their world. And plus, the greatest thing is that it models how to how you are going to tolerate frustration and how like what you do when you show up in a way that you really didn't want to. So many good things to this. All right, so how exactly do we make a repair versus like the standard apology? First and foremost, you got to take a beat, right? Your kid, you've yelled, right? Now you're upset or you're beating yourself up or whatever's going through. You got to take a minute to just get calm and get grounded and like regulate whatever you're feeling inside of your nervous system, right? Maybe just take a few deep, calm breaths. Like that might be just enough. And then when you start the conversation with your child, you want to start by just stating what happened, right? Just the simple facts of what happened with no judgment, no tone in your voice, just clear language that helps our kids process the situation. And I'm going to walk you through an example after I take you through the 6 steps. So step 1 is get calm. Step 2, you're going to state what happened. And then step 3, simply you're going to take responsibility. Like, you got to own your part in the conversation, right? No but statements or excuses, because that's not really taking responsibility and owning the fact that you yelled. And so we want to slow down and just own our part in terms of when we yelled in the conversation. And then what's really critical is step 4, which means in step 4, you want to share what you're going to do differently next time, right? Share what your path is moving forward. Be really specific about what you're going to change, what you're going to do differently, and try to make like a clear commitment to that. This is really going to feel good to your child, and it's going to feel good to you. Plus, you're modeling an incredible example of what to do after we explode. Step 5 is like, then you want to take a minute and get curious. Like, open the door to understanding what was going on for your child when you felt triggered by them and their behavior, right? Invite them to share their perspective, their point of view, and try to just listen and give them space to process it and to calmly respond. And then step 6, one of the most important steps, is you want to validate their feelings, right? Accept whatever they're feeling, normalize their feelings so they don't feel like something's wrong with them or who they are. And we don't want to minimize these feelings or try to fix them. We merely want to validate them, right? Which is like saying something like, hey, that makes sense. You were really angry because you weren't able to, stay out later than you wanted to, something like that. So let me give you a real life example. Okay, I wrote one out, so let me read this just because I want to make sure I hit all 6 steps. Okay, so you could say something like, hey, I was thinking about earlier when I lost it over your phone at dinner, and that wasn't okay. I was super stressed from work, and I took it out on you. Next time, I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to talk about it calmly, right? Notice that took responsibility and accountability without blaming them. And then you want to take a minute and ask them, like, what was going on for you with your phone? And give them a time to share that, right? Maybe they were doing homework on their phone, but you thought they were just scrolling social media and not getting to their homework. So you got frustrated and angry and you yelled, right? So I want to give them a chance to explain what was going on. And then remember, you want to validate it. Like, you could say something like, okay, I get it. You were in the middle of something with your friends and I screamed at you to put your phone away. Okay, that must have felt pretty unfair when I snapped. So that is a real life example of walking through how to make a repair. And notice the depth and richness of this versus the standard, I'm sorry I yelled, right? That just kind of leaves the other person feeling not, like they don't really feel and embody an apology, and it really doesn't re-solidify the connection in your relationship. So I want you guys to try this. Put in the comments if you have any questions or you get stuck, and I will do my best to help you. And just remember that a repair is about building trust between you and your teenager, and you're teaching these valuable life skills. And just know it's never too late. A week could have gone by. You could have yelled a week ago, and you can always come back and just say, hey, I was thinking about when I yelled at you last week. And then you make your repair. Right? This is an ongoing relationship you have with your child that you're going to want to have for years to come. And so it's never too late. And then also, if you guys haven't downloaded my free guide, 5 questions to get your teens talking, you should definitely do that right now. It's going to help you really have better communication with your child and create that connection that I know we all want. All right, I hope that was so helpful for you, and have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.